I'm in Savernake Forest, which is a forest that's so old it's got a Welsh name. And I'm looking for a Roman road. That Roman road leads us to the ancient fortification of Cunetio, a regional centre. And there perhaps we might learn a little bit about execution practices in the Dark Ages. In the forest. I've been looking for this Roman road. I made the daft decision to take a shortcut, which is always fatal for a middle-aged man to do. I ended up going through the thorns and the brambles, following deer tracks, and those deer were much smaller. I had a lot of thorns in my face, and I saw a deer. I just wasn't quick enough to. It was a her. She made a dash for it. She was in the bracken. I wonder whether deer like bracken. I mean, it's good cover, and probably quite soft on the bottom when you're lying down. But she ran from cover to cover, and I just too slow with the camera. A roe deer, she was beautiful. Brach in Old English. Anyway, the antiquities. So what I could have done was follow what is marked on the OS map as it has the hatching of a dike, and I should have followed that. So after wandering around the woods for 45 minutes, I managed to find it's a park pale, which was if you were rich enough to own deer belonged to the king. Now, if you're rich enough to own a deer park, you're saying to everybody in the neighbourhood, the king allows me stuff, even if I have to pay for it. I am privileged. So it was important, if you had a big house, to have a big deer park as well. But the whole point of a park pale that I understood, and I may be wrong, was that the dike would be the embankment would be on the outside and the ditch on the inside, making it really hard. So there would be a fence on top of the ditch as well, on top of the dike as well. Any deer wouldn't be able to jump over the ditch and the fence. But what we have here, and I saw the same thing with Ashbury, is the embankment is on the inside and the ditch on the outside, which is curious. You know, you could make all sorts of, I mean, again, it's something that somebody could do their master's degree on. I found that and triangulated my way back to a point where I could find the Roman road. The Roman road isn't as well preserved as the OS map indicates, but it's worth coming to have a look. I mean, even though I enjoy prehistory and Roman stuff more than the anglo-saxon and the medieval full stop. I tend to think of the medieval period as being the same as our period, just weirder. But prehistory and Roman stuff is fascinating. But this embankment and ditch, this dike, is also a parish boundary as well, which means, and where a parish boundary crosses a Roman road, it's significant in some sense. So that's what we've got here. I took some drone shots. You probably won't be able to see anything, but I got to see a deer. Now, even though I haven't been able to show you it, I can see why people are into hunting. I really can. And maybe it's just some people are just having the instinct to chase. So context. Savernake Forest. Ekwall says that the Savernake is something to do with the Severn, the River Severn, or a name that is highly related to it. We're nowhere near the Severn. We've got sort of 2 counties to go before we get to the Severn. Maybe it's some other reference. Maybe, well, he suggests that one of the local rivers might have been called Severn, in much the same way as there's lots of Avons about. Bedwin, the river, he suggests the Bedwin, but the Bedwin is already a British name. He could be talking about the Kennet, which is also a British name as well. And British names is what I'm into at the moment. When I mean British, I was castigated by my wife the other day for not explaining what I'm talking about. You know, it's all English, but it makes absolutely no sense, is what she said. When I mean British, I mean the people who were here before the English came. The English came, you know, somewhere between 450 and 550 AD, after the collapse of the Roman, after the Roman Empire withdrew from Britain. They saw an opportunity and came wandering in. Some of them were invited in as federates, people who would protect the British. The British were the people here that have been here since the Bronze Age. They are the nearest thing to an indigenous people that we pretty much have, you know, and I include the Cornish in with them, the West Welsh are the Cornish. So yeah, so these are British names. That means extremely old Welsh names, Celtic, and the fact that they've survived suggests that something of the British survived. The English did live alongside the British for, you know, in some parts of the country for some time, but eventually they took over. So, as I was explaining in two or three videos ago, West Berkshire, which is right, the border's right next to us, there's hardly anything that is British, apart from the River Kennet. East Berkshire, there's one, I think, which I think is Roscoombe, is a British name. They seem to have taken over and said, right, yeah, I hear you, lovely culture, but we're British, we're English, do as we say, stop speaking that British, we now speak English. But that didn't happen to the south of West Berkshire. Well, it doesn't seem to have done, especially in Dorset, which has quite a lot of British names. It tells us that I'm not saying they weren't subjugated, but in some form or another, the people who lived around here used British words, which means they had some sort of freedom, no matter how limited that was. So anyway, context, we have the Wansdyke. The Wansdyke comes up to the western edge of this wood. I've made the argument that a line of control that extends from Wansdyke might have gone down towards Newbury, south of Newbury, to Highclere, places like that. Who knows how far it went. There's some lovely old British, old Welsh names: Andover, Candover, Burclere. The Bur part's English, the Clear part is older, and it tells us something. What that is, you'll have to go to an academic to find out. This could well be the Foss of the Roman road. The OS map tends to suggest it. I'm walking, I can't see the other one. They come in twos, but I'm not entirely sure I'll get to see very much, but this ditch is straight, and it is on a line with where we were earlier on. It could be, that could be the second foss up there, and this could be the foss I'm following up here. And this could be, I don't know whether you can see a hump. It might very well be, you know. It's sort of, I bet it looks awful on video, but to my eyes, it doesn't look too bad at all.